Good afternoon. Welcome to the Selectmen's meeting, Monday, the 7th of August at 5:30. First, we'll cover some minutes. The first minutes we'll review are the minutes from the regular meeting, July 3rd.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of July 3rd, 2023, regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
Second.
Okay, now I believe there was a motion, there was a request for modification.
There is.
I guess on page 3, under the bold Robert Half, it reads, while approval to locate the stones on the triangle was requested, it was not granted. So Carolyn Wakeman said that should more properly say that Griswold said, I would debate that I approved it instead of it was not granted. We could just incorporate that language in the...
So I'll amend my motion to include Carolyn Wakeman's comments, meaning deleting the minute from the minutes on page 2 under Robert Half's public comment. While approval to locate the stones in the triangle was requested, it was not granted. Carolyn says that statement was not made. We should delete it. And in response to a comment from Robert Half, Tim Griswold said, I would debate that I had approved it.
Second, David.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can vote on the motion as amended. Any other, before we vote, any other?
No, I didn't think so.
Okay. All right, it's moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you. Now then, we look to the minutes of July the 20th. I might mention that there's a scrivener's error up top. It says May, so it's the 20th of July, 8:30 for the meeting date, a month there. So
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from the special board and selectmen meeting of July 20th.
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very well. All right. The next item is public comment. So we have a number of people in the audience here. So Scott Boulanger, you want to come on up and...
Hi, good evening. Scott Boulanger, Miami Beach resident. I just wanted to bring forth a pretty good letter that was written to the selectmen. I don't know if it was shared to the other selectmen but I wanted to read it out loud to the public because I couldn't say it any better myself. So it was to the first selectman, Griswold, from Rose, a resident down in Miami Beach. He says, I've been a resident in Miami Beach since I was 2 years old, which is a little over 65 years ago, enjoying most of a happy place on earth. Never have I been more disappointed with the town of Old Lyme than in recent issue of a tree that was drifted by means of heavy rains to the beaches of Hawks Nest and Miami Beach. There's been much conjecture as to how the tree became free after more than a week of solid entrenchment in the swim area, that'd be the lines themselves, of Hawks Nest, and its subsequent alignment in the swim area of Miami Beach. With the lack of town support to remedy the hazard, it was quite clear and straightforwardly disgraceful. With a substantial amount of money the Miami Beach residents pay for taxes in support of the town and its mandates and initiatives, and the money we spend to support local businesses, and the amount of money we pay annually to keep our homes safe and the beach clean from the oftentimes unruly public attracted to Sound View, one would think the town could spare a truck, maybe a few employees to help clean up the most unusual mess left for us to resolve. She ends with shame on the town of Will 9 for the lack of support in the manner that was truly of mutual interest. This was brought to the selectmen when it was first discovered tied up in front of the jetty or the outlet in front of Swan Brook. In fact, I have some knowledge that Tim might have actually went out there when the harbor master was there at the ready to move the tree to a safe place and was instructed to leave it alone and see what happens in a few days. We all know what happened in a few days. It was interesting that I sent also some emails how the town of East Lyme treated a private property owner that doesn't even have public on their land. And they were dealing with it to try to help the private and said that the town would end up taking care of it. We all know that we went to our representatives, both senators and state representatives, to DEEP, and everybody put a bad ear to it and just didn't. It's not my stuff. And I think the stuff that I sent to everybody myself through my research found that, yeah, I suppose if we took the town to court and spend a lot of money, filled lawyers' pockets, at the end of the day, it would get paid for by either the state or the town because it is not our beach. That part is part of the state of Connecticut. It is beyond high water mark. It was not on our beach. It was lodged inside the wet sand, if you will. In fact, I don't think I ever saw dry sand in the whole time. Luckily for us, we had a few very gracious and folks within our association. It's a lot of help, and we were able to get rid of it ourselves at a fairly good cost to us, but far less than what it would have cost, I'm sure, if we hired our current beach cleaner. One last thing for me, I apologize for going on too long, but I'm also a little I can't even, the right word, but things have gone pretty good in Soundview for a long time. I think Tommy Heinsohn and the current state resident trooper has been doing a great job, but this year, I don't know what happened. I heard they don't have enough people, whatever the story may be, but to leave Soundview, go home at 5 o'clock, many a nights, especially on weekends, when my daughter had to witness, my grandkids eating at Salty Monkeys on a Friday night, quite a few drunken folks in the town parking lot with no cops around on Hartford Avenue to call. I personally was at the carousel myself, I think it was Saturday night, and there's people walking around trees and whatnot on the sidewalk, no cops around. I think we can't handle the police, and we should shut the place down, close the lots, say, I'm sorry, we don't have enough police coverage. To not have anything around is a disrespect. Again, thank you for your time.
Can I just ask the audience, if you're here to support the closing of Pond Road, could you please stand up just for a minute? I can't hear you. If you're here to support the closing of Pond Road, would you please stand up? I can see who you are. Okay, thank you very much. Hi, Carolyn Miranda, 2 Biscayne Boulevard. I'd also like to express my displeasure over the town's lack of caring about what happened to the tree. And I did email all 3 of you, never heard a response from anybody. That's always pleasant. The second thing is I'm here to support the closing of Pond Road, and you're going to have a good presentation so you can know more about that. I'm sure you already do, but I'm in support of closing Pond Road. It is our street. It's been it forever. Some kind of agreement that supposedly wasn't valid happened way back in the late 90s. And so I support that closing. I also want to talk about handicap parking again. I've talked to you before about that. And I heard at the Soundview Commission meeting at the end of July that Tim...
No, I can just listen.
Making some changes.
People on the phone, would you please mute? We can hear you talking in the background.
That you had a conversation and probably thought you were going to turn those 3 non-regulation handicap spaces in the town lot into 2, and then providing 1 handicap parking space at the end of Hartford Avenue, right before the beach. So that sounds good if that's what's going to happen. However, I'm wondering when that's going to happen. Things seem to work really slowly here. Sidewalks on Ferry Road have been going on forever, and that Tumahiga, whatever name, that controversy with the town dock and everything, that's been going on forever. Nothing seems to get resolved. And so I'm hoping the handicap parking situation gets resolved soon. We'll act on it, and we will see some changes so that people who cannot access the beach easily will be able to do that more easily with the handicap parking. I'm also here to give you another report on the speeding traffic down in 116. It's not better, it's worse. Around the 4th of July, we had state police there a few days ticketing people. But everybody's doing their own thing, and they've added something new on Saturday and Sunday nights after 6:30. I think it's probably when the police presence is all gone. Now we've got people actually speeding, racing down the highway, down Route 156. They come up cross lane, and they go west. And you can hear them, and they're screeching their wheels, and they've got to be doing more than 50, 60 miles an hour. It's very dangerous. There's no police around. So that's my last issue, is policing. I'm wondering, for the town, I'm not well-versed in policing in town. However, I would assume that maybe, depending upon the population in the town, it might dictate how many officers you might have per 1,000. I don't know. But I do know that I don't see police presence. It's only down at Soundview, and then it's gone. They're not patrolling the roads. Nobody's paying attention to these people that speed like demons up and down 156. I'm sure they do it everywhere else, but because I live on the corner of 156 and Biscayne, I have bird's eye view on my deck in my house all the time. It needs to change. Maybe there needs to be a commission established to find out what it is we need in town, why we're not getting the police service we need. If we've got the officers and things aren't being done, that's an issue that somebody's got to pay attention to and help, because it's very dangerous. Thank you.
Gentleman with a hat. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Kevin McMahon. I live on Grassy Hill Road. Trying to follow up from something I did 3.5 years ago. I submitted a document to this committee on January 20th at a town meeting. Once again, 3.5 years ago. I also submitted it at a Board of Finance meeting. I believe that was about a year ago. And I've also met personally with Mr. Griswold. I guess my question, this is in regards to a property tax proposal for disabled veterans. My question to this group of individuals is, what is the process to get something done in this town? I've asked that question many, many times, and once again, this is 3.5 years. I understand we can call the pandemic a wash for a year, but still, I've heard nothing back from anybody. It's never been on an agenda. It's never been researched. Nobody's ever contacted me. I'm getting very discouraged and very disappointed, and I'm trying to be as calm as humanly possible as a resident of this town. I've been paying taxes for over 30 years, lots of taxes. What is the process to get something done in this town? I could go to Congress and get something done faster than this. How does it work? Can anybody explain that to me? Tim?
But normally you have a proposal.
I did 3.5 years ago.
And then you would follow it along.
I did.
Whatever committee or whatever it is. With this, it would be probably the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, because it's...
I'm at the Board of Selectmen meeting, once again.
Yeah.
So I think I'm doing my due diligence.
And in terms of refining it, then probably it would be helpful to have some people who are knowledgeable about the rules of the thing you're talking about.
But isn't that the people I'm talking to at this table?
Probably people who are more familiar with it than...
Couldn't I have been told that 3 years ago?
Say?
Couldn't I have been told that 3 years ago? If I could go find some people, I'll do that tomorrow. So what is my next step to try and get something accomplished in this town?
I would say we could get a group together and you could be part of it, perhaps.
I'd be happy to.
Here.
If somebody would ever contact me. I've left messages. I've sent emails. I think you might even have a copy of it. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking at there from me.
No, I have an email.
Yeah. And I've never been followed up with anybody. So if there's a step, I'd love to have it. I'd love to be a part of it. And I'll start a commission. I'll start whatever needs to happen. But nobody can tell me what needs to happen. And I'm getting very disappointed. So.
Okay.
So should I expect something?
I will follow up with you personally on this.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I feel like I'm jumping the line, so thank you, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Mary Jo Noble, 12 Swanswood Lane. First of all, I just want to follow up on a comment that was made from Mr. Bolanger. I absolutely agree that the town should look into removal of the floating debris that has landed on our private and public beaches. Huge log on Soundview this weekend, huge. It is a public safety concern. We took care of a crib in that area. Why aren't we moving along people who get hurt? I want to suggest to the board that we take a cue from the newspaper. Representative Courtney is visiting towns in his district to see how they utilize the ARPA funds. Being on that committee, I am very proud of the work that committee did, and I think it would be a feather in the cap to Old Line to invite him to town to see how we've spent the funds. I hope you consider that. Then the other reason I'm here is regarding an item on the agenda regarding a potential committee regarding people on town property. And I'm not sure why you would want this to be one of your last actions while you're first selectman, Tim, when we have so many other important things that this board could be looking at. But limitations to freedom of speech are generally restrictions that are intended to balance other rights or legitimate government interests. I cannot identify what possible government interest was in jeopardy by the DTC, the Democratic Town Committee, including veterans and their families peacefully serving refreshments, flags, and providing shade under their open 10 by 15 foot pagoda or tent at the Memorial Day Parade outside of Town Hall, as we have for the last 3 years. I hope others join us. In fact, no agent of government has ever discussed this with the DTC, and as this board knows, no form is required for a presence outside Town Hall. In fact, regular and statutorily required meetings are held in Town Hall by the Democratic Town Committee and Republican Town Committee routinely. We're elected officials, just like other town committees and commissions hold meetings in Town Hall.
Boundaries to freedoms of speech, according to Wikipedia, relate to libel, slander, obscenity, pornography, sedition, fighting words, hate speech, trade secrets, non-disclosure agreements, public security, perjury, to name a few. None of these apply in this situation. Rather, it has been stated on the public record that political signage is being called into question. It is implausible to me, as a former Old-Line selectwoman, to even imagine why this board would want to move in the direction stated in the minutes and agenda. Rather than embrace the possibility that a day to honor our heroes should be a day to welcome all the Old-Line community without fear of retaliation. It would be wise for this Board of Selectmen to encourage other unifying activities on this federal holiday, not a flagrant, discriminatory, and unconstitutional approach which besmirches one of our dearest traditions of all time. Thank you.
I don't know if this is the time, but this is about Pond Road.
Yeah.
Should I talk about it now?
Sure.
My name is Keith Henson. I own the parking lot on 11 Pond Road, lot number 5. This parking lot's been in my family for about 50 years, and we've always run it to obey the law. We, at times, with the gate that's right by my parking lot, sometimes I have to open the gate for the firemen and the police. The police have come down, not have any keys. They're going to cut the lock, I guess, but I finally got a code from somebody to open it. So I think that's a concern. If they put, at the end of Pond Road and Portland Avenue, if they put gates, who's going to be in charge of that? Where's the traffic going to go from Hartford Avenue? I'd like to see that plan. I haven't seen that plan. This is a court order that is still in force, and you have to go back to the court to get the court to get rid of the court order, right? Am I right? Okay. Let's see what else. Well, that's about it. I just feel like they're shutting down my business. I have a business. I have a licensed business, and certain people in the Miami Beach Association seem to be targeting me unfairly, and I don't think I should lose my business. And I favor keeping Pond Road open.
Anyone else? Anyone on the phone wish to make a public comment?
Wait, we have another one in the audience.
Very good, thank you.
My name's Chris Calvanese. I live on 6 Pond Road. And
Can you spell your last name? I'm sorry.
Calvanese.
Thank you.
And I'm gated out of my own community. So I don't think it's fair to the 13 other homes that are in our area that we're all gated out of our own community. So I'm for closing it.
Thank you.
I missed the beginning. Do I need to come up there?
You don't have to. We don't really want to. Sorry.
I'm loud enough. I usually don't need a microphone.
We can hear you all the way up there. We can hear you all the way to the next.
Yeah, you can. Hi, everyone. Sheila Riffle, 57 Colts Lane. I know this is on the agenda, and it sounds like there are some more pressing concerns right now, which I completely understand. I want to, thank the board and whoever is responsible for moving forward with signage and some clearing that took place at the Tanamahaig Landing. I also want to make sure that you're aware that although I didn't see the original signs, I'm told that there were 3, now there is 1, and that some plantings were removed. I'm not sure where by the town, and allegedly plantings have reappeared. My big issue right now, because I personally think that that space
that used to be accessible by car is still accessible by car, the way it looks to me. And there was clearing that was done from, excuse me, the top of the grass that leads right into the reeds there. However, it seems unfinished. I don't know if maybe the machine ran out of gas or something, but it seems you still can't get to you can't get to the water if you fight through the reeds. So I don't know if that was on purpose, but I did want to thank you for the action.
It's just really muddy there, so.
Yeah, that's why we can't.
Do you have an idea how deep the Phragmites is from where it was cut to the water?
I would guess it's about 6 to 8 feet that has been cut, and there's probably another 6 feet uncut.
You're talking about this area over here?
Yeah. The area that straight out to the water, to drop a kayak or a canoe or a paddleboard. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. We will, I'll just make a comment about the tree because that's a hot topic. And in a communication from Frank Galliardo, supervising environmental analyst with the DEP solid waste permit unit, all sorts of pedigree there, he was reacting to a question posed by our emergency management director about the tree. And he writes, if I understand you correctly, the beach associations, after reading the public trust fact sheet on Land and Water Resource Division website, are stating that since the debris is stuck in the sand waterward of the high water line, and since the state holds title to these lands waterward, the submerged lands of the high water line, then the state should be, he says they, but it's an indefinite pronoun. I presume he means the state should be cleaning up the debris. I can only comment to date that I'm not aware of any declaration that has been made to initiate a FEMA response where public assistance funding would be available for beach cleanup. The ACOE, which I'm not sure what that is, may have some jurisdiction here, but waterward of the high water line, but I'm not sure and must refer to other people.
The Army Corps of Engineers. ACOE, Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay. I think the statement that the lands waterward of the high tide are owned by the state, but I think we're getting a clear response not only from the state of Connecticut, but also from the Coast Guard, that they will not be removing litter from the beaches in front of private property or public property for that matter. And I think that they are saying that if you could find a funding source, that may be possible. I think what is important here is that the town has limited resources in terms of personnel to undertake that kind of a cleanup. When you think that the coastline, which could include the river as well as Long Island Sound, goes all the way to Point of Woods and so forth, Hatchett's Point, if everybody wanted these objects removed, it would be practically impossible for our Public Works Department, which has probably about 6 individuals who could devote themselves to this with all the other things that are going on. I know that, Hawks Nest hasn't been involved. I'm not sure what they've been doing, but Old Colony and Old Lyme Shores and Edge Lee have in fact removed items from their beaches, and I'm aware that New London has cleared with people in New London, according to our state senator, there have been removals done without assistance from the local municipality. So I think that if we were to remove that tree, then obviously people who had not had the same service would say, well, we still have more to pick up, or maybe you could reimburse us for the cost that we incurred. So I think in terms of fairness to all, if the town got into the business of removing objects from the beach, it would be, I think, a serious step, and could be very costly in terms of some of these things. If an emergency is declared, then FEMA would supply money for the town and for, I think, the private beaches to remove things. But without that, I think we would not receive help from outside. Next, we're going to be turning to, next would be the Pond Road discussion. And who's going to lead that? Mark? Thank you.
First of all, I do want to thank the Board of Selectmen for allowing me to present to you our proposal for Pond Road.
Let's get that mic, because people on the phone may not hear. Let me just get this mic down for you. You want a chair?
No.
All right.
Thank you. Right?
Gabe. Control over Gabe. Control over Gabe. Got it. Great.
Okay, thank you. So everybody can see, I'll try to get out of people as best as possible. But I'm here today to talk about what I consider possible options for privacy of Pond Road. It's uncontested that Miami Beach owns Pond Road, from Hartford Avenue all the way to its western border. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not going to get into a discussion of an agreement in 1997. Our lawyer is in communication with the town lawyer on that, so I'm going to skip any details there. A lot has to be discussed. But I just want to say that on several occasions, myself, a few directors from Miami Beach, met with Mr. Griswold, the Shoemaker, and Matt Ward. They were all invited, as well as the Fire Marshal, Public Works, and we met on Pond Road, and we talked about possible options. So I'm here to present to you what those options are that we discussed with them. I'm trying to call this, and I'm trying to be, I'm not here to deride the town, or I'm not here to argue with the town. I'm here to say that I think we have a proposal here for some collaborative solutions. Okay. To me, it's best if we can resolve this in an amicable way without having to go through court or litigation over an agreement that our lawyers have basically said is null and void. We want to try to avoid that. And I also want to avoid whether it's hearsay or rumors that Miami Beach was going to be putting up Jersey barriers and blocking the road. That's far from what we are doing, far from what we even planned, okay, or would plan. So let me get into the specifics of what we're trying to do here. When we discussed this with the selectmen, and we met down in Pond Road, we proposed that the town implement or install a road parallel to Pond Road. And that would be the connection between Hartford Avenue and Portland Avenue. That would allow us to truly make Pond Road, belonging to Miami Beach Association, a true private road. Right now, this agreement has allowed public to come down through Pond Road from Hartford Avenue up Portland Avenue in a continuous circle. And it's a safety concern, especially during the summer and holidays. And there have been several incidences along that stretch where people leaving one of the restaurants or the bars have crashed through barriers and everything else. It's very dangerous. So we're proposing that the town install a new road parallel to Pond Road. And I'm going to get into more specifics, but as you can see from this diagram, we're proposing that that road be put through the public town parking lot, and I'm going to discuss that in more detail. We would put a swing gate at Hartford Avenue, and there would be a swing gate at Portland Avenue with a pedestrian walkway, especially for the residents of Soundview who have a right to go through Lot B11 and be pedestrian traffic only. Okay. The general public comes down the street by car and by foot traffic. The true entrance, for those of you who don't know, the true entrance for the general public is through Hartford Avenue. That is their means to get onto our beach. Our beach is open to the public. Everybody knows that. Okay. But the general public should be coming through Hartford Avenue all the time. Residents of Soundview have and can continue to come to Lot B11. So we would have a gate there, ADA compliant, that allow that traffic, the foot traffic to come through. We would install a guardrail or some kind of a buffer strip that would separate Pond Road from the new town road, so as not to cause any commotion or, again, any accidents. We need to separate it just like on any highway where there's some kind of a buffer strip. Now, why would we consider you doing that? Well, in this diagram, and I'm going to be showing you another slide. In this diagram, those areas that are circled in green are owned by Miami Beach. And as you will see in another slide I'm going to show, we had Pond Road surveyed. And our survey stakes are actually inside the public parking lot by a good 3 feet. So right now, the town's split rail fence is on Miami Beach property, and it goes right to the porta potties. So these two areas, the first area here is about 15 feet. The second area is anywhere from 5 to 8 feet. Are areas that could be used, jointly used by Miami Beach and the town to help install a new road for the town. So that's why I'm calling this a collaborative solution, because we're willing to do a few things here.
Can I?
Yes.
You mentioned that it was surveyed. Can you tell me who surveyed it?
Yes, Jones Engineering, licensed surveyor,
Okay.
and they have surveyed property here in town for other individuals, as well as the town, I believe. And survey maps are on record here at the town hall.
So they
Currently mows that and takes care of that circled area.
Right, we have our property manager, Don Longo. Okay.
he recorded his survey results with Town Hall. Jones Engineering?
Yeah, Jones Engineering.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, when we take a look at that particular option, number one is going to require a new written agreement. Whatever this 1997 agreement, which we fully support the fact that it is null and void, we would write a new agreement. The permanent solution is there to eliminate current safety concerns that we have. There's significant traffic flow, as everybody knows who's ever been down by that area, circling Hartford Avenue or Portland Avenue. When they can't find a place to park, they're continually circling around. Right? And sometimes the traffic goes in two directions. On very busy days, the town will close off Portland and make it one way. But that's not always the case. The third bullet is important here, and why I'm stressing a collaborative approach. This is with member approval, not my Miami Beach member approval. We may very well be willing to gift the 2 parcels of land that we own to the town in hopes of giving them enough room to help put in that new road. It's not going to be enough to put in the full road, but that is our land. And I would bring this to our association members to vote on something of that nature. I, myself, cannot say or dictate that, but it's something I would bring to our members to do that in a way where we're collaborating with the town. We may even take a look at sharing the cost of excavation and paving, only because if we have contractors in our association that may very well be willing to do something like that. The gate at the corner of Portland and Pond would be a full swing gate with an ADA compliant pedestrian gate in the middle. And that's for the Soundview residents to have access to Lot B11. The gate at Hartford and Pond will be a full swing gate. At this time, based on our concept, there's not going to be a pedestrian walkway there. That's the public. The public should be entering Hartford Avenue, entering the beach up at the top of Hartford Avenue. I mean, something that we can take a look at, but that's not what we want to encourage. We're trying to make our road private the way it should be private. NBA would be fully responsible for installing that barrier rail or buffer strip, whatever it may take. And this is just a side note. If the public parking spaces are eliminated, at one point, I think Tim, you had mentioned maybe you might lose 4 spaces. But I'm sure your permitted parking lot owners would be quite happy to absorb those 4 spaces. Thus, it's the right thing to do. That's the bottom line.
I want to get into my part.
I'm not finished my presentation. Okay? And we're trying to work with the town to do this. I'm just hoping that it's not, as the other gentleman said, 3.5 years going on and doing something. Is this all going to fall on deaf ears? I'm hoping not.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
About the swing gate here. You can go back if you want to. I'll show it to you on the picture that you're going to show. Question? Nope, next one. Sorry. Well, I guess.
Yes, that's fine.
This swing gate.
Right.
You said there's no walk gate.
Right now, they would be able to walk around the end of it, obviously, because the gate.
I was wondering, how are your people supposed to access Hartford Ave if
they come through Flagler Avenue? They don't. That's the whole.
No,
purpose.
I meant walking.
Huh?
If there's no walk, how are they? If they want to walk down to get ice cream or something down Pond Road?
These gates aren't like astronomically restrictive. There's always a way around the end of the gate.
Just wondering.
Okay. Our main purpose is the vehicular traffic. Any other questions?
No, not on that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Now, we did present another option to the town at the time. The town currently has a connector road between Hartford and Portland Avenue. It's a dirt road or a dirt right-of-way where cars do go through. And we offered that as a possible solution. They would have to, if they had to make it a permanent road, obviously it would have to be built to spec. And as far as the gates would be the same. But in this particular option, it's not our preferred option. It's more of a temporary solution. The gate structure would remain the same. This is just showing where our current gate is located. But I think
point to make here is that it's not our preferred option. Requirements would be required. A new agreement would be required. There would have to be signage that directs traffic down Portland or Hartford Avenue. Public parking spaces would not be eliminated because that right-of-way, that path is there now. So no one's parking in that path. It has the potential to be a temporary solution if it's restricted to Memorial Day to the end of September. After September, the gates on Pond Road would be open until the following Memorial Day. Now, that's a temporary solution. It's not one we prefer, but it's something that we did talk about jointly when we did meet at Pond Road. It does help eliminate the safety concern during the summer. The gate structure would be identical, but we're offering this also because we're trying to be collaborative in what we're trying to do to solve this. The last thing Miami Beach wants to do is take anybody to court over something. And we're hoping the town feels the same way.
I don't know if I agree with that public parking spaces are not eliminated. You're going right through the middle of the parking lot. How are public spaces not eliminated?
It's already there. It's right there now.
I understand that, but then you're going to lose spaces to make it so cars can...
You may, I don't know how many you'd lose, I'm just saying, but you have that pathway right now. Again, as I mentioned, I don't know what the specifications are for a legal road, so you might lose depending on how you position that area there. I don't know. You'd have to take a look at it.
Probably lose the ones that are facing Salty Monkey. Definitely, along that side of the fence. Because you have to have some.
Now, as everyone knows, in our beach community, Miami Beach, Old Colony Beach, Old Line Shores, during the off-season,
All the gates are generally open. Okay.
So, again, not our preferred solution, but it's something that could be looked at, but it also would have to be revisited at least every 2 years or sooner, as requested by either party. And the next slide here is just showing where the survey stakes are. So as you can see, that's the town split rail fence, that's our property line. So the split rail fence is on our property. And we haven't asked the town to move their split rail fence. We're in discussions here about other things. But as you can see, the line goes for a great part right to the corner of one of the porta potties, right there. There is a jog or a zigzag in that property line, and then it cuts back out, comes out and then goes back in, and then crosses the property again at the end of, by Hartford Avenue, which again, the split rail fence is on the other side of that stake. Now, a couple things to consider with this is that the survey stakes, as you can see, and anybody can walk down there, the majority of that current town split rail is on Miami Beach property. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. The town, you guys can contest it, but we're not quite sure about that zigzag. Unless the town can contact the surveyor who surveyed the road back in 1997, when the town thought that Pond Road belonged to them. They have to contact the surveyor, and if he's still alive or if he remembers, he might be able to shed some light as to why that zigzag. There are some drawings that our surveyor uncovered that show that at one time that public parking lot was 2 lots. Why one lot was odd-shaped, I don't know, but if the town wants to do a title search and find out why that's the case, it's totally up to them. But barring a title search by the town, those survey stakes is about as good as it's going to get. The 1997 dispute overall, when the town thought it was their road, they lost. All right, it was for certain Pond Road belongs to the Miami Beach Association. An agreement was put in place. I have shared a document with the Selectmen regarding an opinion letter from our lawyer that is now in the hands of the town lawyer, along with documents, and these documents include
Minutes to meetings that I was able to research thanks to some members in our association who have been around for many years and have shared those documents and other readings I've been able to find. And it clearly shows that agreement, how it got changed, I'll never know, but that agreement, according to our minutes, says specifically open to emergency vehicles and garbage only. How it got changed to public vehicles, we'll never know.
I wonder.
Okay? But I've got several documents, and they're in the hands of the town lawyer. Somehow, somewhere,
that wording got changed. It was only supposed to be emergency vehicles, and now that document reads open to accessibility by vehicle to the public.
How did that happen? We can contest all of this. It all depends on what the town lawyer is going to come back with. They have an opportunity to respond. I just hope the town lawyer doesn't sit on this forever. We're not going to wait 3.5 years. We're not going to wait 3.5 years. We can't.
We're a chartered organization, which means we're a quasi-municipality. And everybody here needs to understand what a quasi-municipality is all about. We're chartered by the state of Connecticut. We're recognized as a municipality. Quasi being the fact that if we wanted to, we could have our own fire department, our own police department, our own water department. We could have all of that if we had the money. Any chartered organization, whether it's Miami Beach, Old Colony Beach, Old Lyme Shores, all right, the president does not have the authority to sign any document with any state, municipality, or financial institution without a formal document called a corporate resolution. And that corporate resolution has to be signed by every single voting director of the association, giving the president the authority to sign the document. Further, from our lawyer's research, any party who enters into a contract with Miami Beach Association, a body politic of the state of Connecticut incorporated by the Connecticut legislature, is obligated to confirm that the person purportedly acting on behalf of the association actually has authority to enter into that agreement. So far, we have heard nothing. Okay? This slide is not to be meant to be a threat. This slide is to give information to people who don't know what's happening, and I wanted to set the record straight. We want a collaborative solution. Building a road parallel to Pond Road to us makes the most sense, and it puts the money where it should be instead of into the pockets of lawyers.
I understand your comments here and stuff like that, and you want it to happen like yesterday, but it's taken 26 years to make this argument. Why did it take so long to make this argument? I'm just curious. I've only lived here for 16 years, so
I have had. Okay.
That's my only concern.
It's unfortunate, Mr. Ward, but I've been president of the association for 12 years. I've been on the board for 18 years. I have emails, and I've kept emails, all right, going back to 2013, when I first got my head around what was happening here, sent to Bonnie Ring-Snyder about all of this. Nothing was ever done. Back then, if you look at that original agreement, there was supposed to be an exit out of that parking lot onto Portland Avenue. You guys just put that in last year. And I made that known to Bonnie back then. And she ignored it. And I kept on sending her emails that went ignored. I kept on pressing on this thing.
I understand you're saying that you want a collaboration with the town, which I'm all for that. But I think we need to include some of your neighbors in this collaboration as well, other that's going to affect them. Can you go to the map and show me where this gentleman's property is, just so I can understand it? I don't know exactly where he lives.
Sure.
So I can understand what, you know,
Okay.
collaboration with the town, but we also have to try to work with some of your neighbors as well, which.
Okay, well, don't worry, I have an answer for that as well, so just hold on. Let's see, this one might be,
That's the first slide.
So, Mr. Henson's property in question is located right over here.
Where that white,
Basically, right through here.
and this piece of property right here, this is town property?
That property,
Who?
that's where the pump house is.
Okay. So who owns that property?
The three beach associations now.
Okay,
Old Colony, Old Lyme, and Miami Beach, and the town,
okay.
okay? So, and this is...
Pump house for a sewer project type? Is that what? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is Mrs. Henson's property. His land is in Soundview. Unfortunately, this property is in Soundview.
My house is in Miami Beach.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Read our charter. No business should be operated out of the boundaries of Miami Beach
not in
Association.
Soundview.
Correct. How are you getting into it? There's only one way into your property, and it's through a private road owned by Miami Beach Association.
That's been parking cars.
It's over 50 years.
That's immaterial, the Sergeant has been doing.
What do you have a personal vendetta against me? I don't know what it is.
This has nothing, this is not a personal
Yes,
vendetta.
it is.
No, it's a fact that you've been allowed to do this.
For 50 years?
Yeah.
You've been here 12, I've been here 50.
Well, maybe I'm the only one who had the gumption to say, what the hell is going on?
I got a question.
Yeah.
You're saying that the road is undisputed, which, okay, it's undisputed.
It's undisputed.
But they're right there right now. And one of them, you have to cross that road to get there. Now, is there a public walk use? Is there a certain amount of use? The road may be Miami Beach, but the usage of it should be challenged by the town because we don't know why it's not settled.
Okay.
So you're saying settle it, sure, that's fine for you. And I'm not in Miami, nor do I even am in that area. Just looking at it legally,
So
there's
let
a
me,
dispute there.
yeah, let me give you an answer to that. Our lawyer has told us plenty of times, we could prevent the general public from walking on that road.
But you can't stop them from walking on the beach.
Correct. And we're not. They can get to the beach through Hartford Avenue. That's the public entrance. The only people that we know of are the Soundview residents who live on Portland Avenue
And that's
that were given the right to go to Lot B11. Those are the only people.
I think that should be clarified personally.
Well, hopefully I'm telling you that right now. So, and that's why we're saying Lot B11 is a public interest. In this case, the public are the Soundview residents. Soundview is considered the public. Okay? The general public has an entrance off of Hartford Avenue onto our beach. We are not preventing anyone from walking on our beach. I'm going to make that clear. No one from the public is prevented from coming onto our beach.
Getting back to Mr. Ward's question, how are they going to access the parking lot?
My part.
I don't have to answer that, Keith.
Why?
Because I don't.
Why?
Because, well, first of all, it's your lot.
Right.
Secondly, there are...
Legal lot.
Have you ever...
For parking.
Have you ever considered working something out with the other parking lot owner as far as an access off of Portland Avenue in here? Have you ever thought about coming to us and saying, hey, you've got this pump house station here that's going to go in here. What's the possibility of an access?
Why did you never come to me and say, why don't I take the other lot and switch it? Scott's lot. You never came to me to ask me about that lot.
Well,
I would have purchased it myself.
Who knows if that's still not a possibility? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I can't speak
You're
to
not
it.
working with us, Mark. You're working against, you're our residents.
You have an opportunity to discuss this stuff with your neighbors. I
Okay.
can't.
I think this
But that's a
conversation
different
is
discussion.
Miami
Miami
Beach
Beach discussion.
discussion. And I'm just going to say that before,
Mark, just a question. On the matter of the agreement, I came in November. The agreement was to be signed in December, so I don't have a lot of history on it. But was Mr. DeBear represented by counsel when he was putting the agreement together?
Oh, no, from what we know, the association had a lawyer, okay?
Okay.
That's about the extent of that. I'm going by the minutes to meetings as far as what was written there. And unfortunately, and probably fortunately for us now, is that Mr. DeBear came out and said in one of the minutes that he's the president of the association and he doesn't need board approval to do anything.
okay.
Now, he was wrong.
Okay, but that's being
beside the point.
That's with the two lawyers.
Right.
They're working that out.
Right.
I'm just going to tell you that as far as this plan, and I appreciate the fact that you've given us two options, but truly a traffic study has to be done by someone who actually knows traffic study about where roads should go, the width of roads, things that have to be taken into consideration, and what type of a guard should be between what you want for Pond Road to create safety for your people and anything that could be on the other side of it. So it's not just a bunch of people getting together. It's people who are educated on traffic study and flow, and maybe it should have been done years ago before we started this whole situation. But that's got to be taken into consideration because you and I both know, and I've been down there plenty of times on a Saturday. I have gotten out of my car, I've walked around, I've watched how many cars go. So something has to be taken into consideration. And how is the flow going to go? We have to take that into consideration for the safety of everyone, not just Miami Beach, but everyone who uses Soundview.
So when are you going to do the study?
I would have to.
Well, also there are telephone poles and drainage issues that need to be considered.
We went out and surveyed Pond Road, put the stakes in. If you want a collaborative effort here, then I suggest to the town that for you to do the traffic study, for you to investigate what you can do here. I've already stated in one of the slides that Miami Beach would be willing to take a look at sharing the cost of the excavation and paving, okay? But you want to put some skin in the game as a collaborative effort, and don't keep on pointing the finger at Miami Beach as, oh, you guys are stalling.
I'm not asking you to do the traffic study. I'm just saying.
Fingers. This is the first I've seen this proposal, so ask some questions.
Well, it's unfair because I gave this proposal when we met on
I was unable to be there because I had another full-time job I had to go to. I apologize. So.
You know, I own a parking lot. Mine doesn't even get a car until his fills, okay? So I would say beautiful. But you know, you can't just say the hell with him. You still got to take everything into consideration. That's all I got to say.
And Pond Road floods all the time.
Well, what does that have to do with allowing our members access to the association and have the ability to be in their association? To me, a community that leaves behind a portion of its members is not a community. And I'm here to fight for the community. All of them, no matter where they live. Well, did I say I'm leaving? Have you come to me? Do you want to come to me?
Miami.
I think we're going to stop the presentation. Anybody have any more questions? The rest of that stuff is going to be dealt with Miami Beach Association. So anybody else have any more comments or questions that need to be answered?
Anything else? Questions for Mr.
I was wondering who was taking care of the road since 1997?
Pardon?
Who has been taking care of the road since 1997?
Miami Beach has been taking care of the roads ever since Bonnie Reed-Snyder said that the town is no longer responsible for plowing any roads.
And when was that?
And that was one of the things. That was one of the things that was in that the lawsuit brought against us, or brought by Miami Beach against the town, and the town poo-pooed. I mean, it's the town, the courts poo-pooed. They said that doesn't matter because We are the rightful owners of Pond Road. Right now, we pay for everything.
Who paid?
Paving, we pay for the
We
lights,
repaved it.
we pay for the plowing.
I think the town repaved the road.
Yeah,
I'm not
you
sure.
did, but you didn't even contact us. And at one point, you were doing work in your parking lot and the sidewalks, and you created an entrance off of Pond Road to do all construction. Nobody ever contacted contacted me to say, can we do this? Bonnie apologized after the fact.
And what year was that?
When they were doing those sidewalk constructions, whenever that was.
So that was only a few years ago.
No, doesn't matter. Whenever Bonnie was in charge, whatever that was.
Any other? Over there?
Mary Jo? I'm sorry.
Effort to make this work. That includes all the people, can you stand up, please? We can't
Could you stand up?
Can't hear you, I'm sorry. We can't hear you.
Stand up so that your voice carries through the office.
We're saying it's a collaborative effort to make this work. The town, the people, the association, the individuals. There has to be some kind of solution. I don't think it's fair the way you're treating Mr. Henderson. He didn't make his property half on Miami Beach and half on Soundview. It is what it is. If it's been that way for so long, it should be grandfathered in.
Mary Jo had a comment.
Well,
I'm not saying I was just going to add that Mr. Majolo has mentioned the sidewalk project that the town got a grant for. All that information's at town hall. That parking lot was surveyed as part of that project. So hopefully that survey agrees with what you guys did, and hopefully both of there can be cared about. And I really resent you throwing Bobby under the bus. You know, I know that woman. She's collaborative as they come. And if you didn't like her response, that's a separate issue. But she worked very hard on that project, as did I, to make sure everybody was duly informed. So I resent that.
point taken.
In the big picture, this road will provide access to these homes to the south of the parking lot. And the residents will either enter other ways to get on the beach or B11. So what, as you go past Portland toward Hartford, what does this private road idea really do in the long? Just provide access for those 4 or 5 homes there?
It's our boundaries for the association. Right now, where that gate is located, we are keeping approximately 40 members out of their own association. They're locked out, basically. Okay, so as you know, we have a beach community. We can have golf carts. They should be able to freely come onto our road, go through their association, and do well, please. They can. This whole and the golf cart thing is not the biggest thing.
But
they're paying taxes not only to the town, but they're paying taxes to our association. They deserve to be able to be part of the association that they're paying taxes to. Their money, just like everybody else's members' money, goes to the upkeep of our roads, the electricity, utilities, the beach cleaning, security, all that stuff. They deserve, to participate in this association fully. And keeping Pond Road, making Pond Road totally private.
Bless you.
It's like any other private road in the town road.
What is the width of the proposed Pond Road that would be private?
Well, right now, if we fully went by our stakes, it's 40 feet.
40?
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to have a traffic.
And we're willing to take a look at cutting that down, all right, in an effort to have the town install a road parallel. Okay. To Martha's point, you'd have to do a traffic study. You'd have to see what engineers say about the width of a road. You'd have to find out about the utilities. And the other thing is there is a drainage pipe
that is for all of Hartford Avenue that goes down Pond Road to the brook.
Right.
All right? That drain pipe is taking all the water from public streets, bringing it down a private road. So that's another thing that would have to be discussed as to how that's going to be handled.
Okay.
All right, I guess we've heard your presentation, and there'll be a lot more discussion about it.
I think the first thing that we have to do is look for the survey that was done with the sidewalk project and compare it to the survey that was done by Jones Engineering and start there to see if they're agreeable. And then we go from there.
I will say that in an email, I didn't get it from you, Mark, but it came from someone in Miami Beach. We want to formally bring the Pond Road option to the town install a road parallel to Pond Road before we block off Pond Road from Hartford Avenue to Portland. So I think I heard you say that there would be no intent to do that.
No intent to do that. Right? We're trying to solve this thing in a fashion that we can meet.
Thank you.
And we can take up this matter separately outside.
Okay, well, we'll take maybe a couple of minute recess here. Just people want to leave, welcome to stay. But if there's going to be commotion with people leaving, let's do that now, and then we'll convene in a couple of minutes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set. You got everything?
Yep, thanks.
Okay.
It's cold in here again.
Yeah, she kicks on like 6 o'clock.
Are we done with Pond Road?
Yeah, what's that?
Are we done with Pond Road? Yes.
Yeah.
Pond Road.
Yeah, no more discussion on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can follow the group
Thank you, Mr. Ward, for your...
with McMahon.
Yeah, no, I have special treatment. You kept you out of it. I kept you out of it. I had a lot more.
Yeah, let me follow up with,
I can maybe find out if you can get
Let me follow up with I asked for
Right, but you want...
oh yeah, no, but I just want to follow up with her. I think we should, yeah, I dropped the ball. I told my idea.
Yeah, but
Got dropped, so.
there might be, if we want to talk, I know that there was a recent thing that came through.
The reason I had was,
I just read that.
There's something that came in.
Comment that had something not connected with the municipality. And I think they equated it to the restaurant didn't have food, it was just closed the restaurant. You don't have it. Continue. Been here long enough, it'll change someday. Yes?
All right, we'll close that door and we'll keep going. Yeah, I know.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. We'll turn to the next item, number 5, appointments. There are none. Turning to projects, we have the Halls Road improvement. There is a meeting scheduled for the 10th of August by the committee. And a couple of us from the town had a conference call with the DEEP primarily to talk about a parcel which exists between the Hangry Goose Restaurant and Route 1. It's a triangular-shaped parcel, about little over 6 acres. It includes the drainage pipe, which comes down from the Art Association, and water is directed into the Lieutenant River. And in discussions, it's apparent that the DEEP might be willing to convey that parcel to the town to assist with this the pedestrian bridge. So there'll be a meeting in town with some of the DEEP people as well on that, and I'll let the selectmen know which date that will be.
Thank you.
Soundview sewers, I know there's been some recent discussion with the state on whether this forgivable loan will become a reality, and I've heard, you mentioned there might be some news coming on that shortly, but I haven't heard specifically about it. I know there's been a draft letter to the DEEP really saying, we need this or the sewer project will likely not be able to move forward. So hopefully we will get a response in the next few days. That would be one way or the other. We need to get an answer. The senior center expansion, let's see, the committee is working on an RFP for a construction manager to help us make sure when we get the project moving that the owner's interests are protected. And we're also, Jerry Baker is helping both Lyme and O-Lyme, thank you very much, with their steep applications. The new steep applications are open, and we must submit it by the 18th. A lot of the work's been done, and we're just rounding up the last few details. So those two applications for $500,000 each can be submitted. It's very similar to what we did with the Townwoods Park when we had the same steep applications for $500,000, which were approved. Ferry Road sidewalk, we are in discussion with a landowner who has a tree that the sidewalk needs to deviate around the tree to protect the roots. And he was provided an easement for his signature and his wife's signature to allow the town to make this minor modification to the sidewalk pattern. Once that is finalized, then we can submit the full plan to the DOT for final approval, and with some luck, we can get this out to bid during the month of August or in early September. Then we could request bids on it, cross our fingers, and hope that the bids would be realistic, and the project will not take that long to perform, so we could get it done by the end of the year. As was reported earlier, we did get an extension to next August on the steep grant, so we have a little leeway if things turn out to take longer than expected, but ideally we can get it done before the cold weather. The Swan Brook outlet, the outflow pipes after the rain, maybe 2 to 3 weeks now, that big rain was a lot of pressure and blew the sand out of both of the pipes. They were running quite freely. I was down even, I think probably a week or 10 days ago, and they were still both running, so that's encouraging. And so we want to get the big monster vac truck back to run the camera up and down each pipe to be sure that the seams are in good shape. We don't think the seams are leaking sand to cause problems, but there may be some root matter or something else getting in there. There was some observation. Somebody thought that might be the case, but it'd be a comfort to make sure that the pipes are in sound condition. They were installed in the 1940s, so they've been in there for quite a while. But if that then is the case, it may be if sand does block the pipes, we have had the payloader go down there and dig out the sand, and then the pipe will run freely. I think with the two large pipes, there's probably not enough flow in the brook normally to keep them open all the time. So, but once that water builds up, it'll if you have a good bit of rain, it'll really run pretty fiercely through there. So I think maybe the rain today might have helped out as well.
Tim, I just want you to know that I was down on corner of Portland and Pond Road over the weekend, and those holding tanks where the storm drains are, they're like completely filled right up to the grades. And there hadn't been any rain. So what is the process for emptying those? Because when you do get a rain and they're already filled, where's it going?
The sump you're talking about in the catch basin?
Yeah, where's it going?
Well, if they get a big amount of rain, I think everything's flushed into Swan Brook and out from there.
From the corner of Pond and Portland?
I haven't observed one way or the other, but I would imagine if there's a great volume of water, it'll force what's hanging around. Now, the pipe that goes in a westerly direction is above where that sump is, so you can pump out the catch basin and get whatever's down there out of it. Depending, I think on White Sand Beach we have a similar problem where sand comes over the town beach and into a catch basin, and it has to be removed from time to time because it's just a natural occurrence. So if those catch basins are full of sand, then I guess we could maybe have them back
full
truck.
Of water.
Well, there may be sand and stuff down where.
Well, maybe they should get.
But usually, if there's standing, if the pipe comes in and you have a sump below it, there would be standing water in the sump, so long as both pipes are flowing. There's going to be
Standing water. It's not moving. It just stands there.
Right, but is it below where the pipe level is?
No, it's right up to the road. The grate and then the water is right at the bottom of the grate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not moving, it's not draining, and if we get a heavy rain, it's going to fall.
Well, we could have Ed
and
look
I
at it.
kind of think that we might have some engineering concepts since 1940 that might change things down there.
Well, that's not, those pipes are not 1940. I was talking about the pipes under the beach.
Those also probably could use an updated engineering design.
I think they're more recent. I don't think they're that old, but we could ask Ed to have a look at that.
Okay.
Tanamahaig, as was mentioned by Sheila, the Public Works did a commendable job at removing various plantings that have blocked vehicular movement down at where the ice house is. I think we pulled 4 or 5 trees or bushes out of their holes and placed them further toward the owner's property. And we also mowed the trail down to the water. I understand. Then we also put a sign that we had made, Tanamahaig Landing, with the hours of operation. I got a text from a neighbor who said the sign was removed the same day that we put it in. I can't imagine who would have taken it.
Was the sign cemented in? How was it placed?
What's that?
How was the sign placed into the ground?
It was a metal stake with a sledgehammer. Yeah. Outside the gate. It wasn't.
And he pulled up the stake to.
Well, someone did.
I'm sorry, someone did.
Yeah. And then I got a second text the next day that the plantings were seemingly back in location, so we're not sure who did that.
Back up there. Some of the towns were back up there. Play these games.
Yeah. Well, we're planning our next strategy. Button Ball Road, following the mowing of the trail, there is no real report. I know there's some discussion about where the right-of-way is and where the parking area is. And we can...
There was a survey stake on it this week. I don't know who did it, but there appeared to be a survey stake.
Does it appear that if a car were parked in the parking lot or the parking space, that it would be...
I didn't go down.
Okay. Well, that's worthy of a look.
I sent a picture of survey stakes to say that it looked like someone had surveyed it. And didn't you know anything about it? And I was not away. You were away for the weekend, so I didn't have a chance to ask.
Well, I would say if a car could be in the space and not hanging out into the right-of-way, I think that would be fine. If a car would be, say, half and half, then probably that we'd need to look at that.
I'll take a ride down tomorrow.
Yeah. Shoreline Gateway, you want to defer on that, you mentioned?
Well, we had asked if we could present our findings at this meeting, but with Mark's presentation and it not being advertised as a presentation of the findings, then yes, I'd like to move that to September. Because I'd like people who are interested in what we found out to be able to come to the presentation.
Would you rather have a dedicated meeting for it?
That's totally up to you. Matt, what do you think? You're co-chair. Do you want a dedicated meeting, or do you want to do it in September at the regular meeting?
I think we do it at the regular meeting, because then you catch other people before that's right, Labor Day weekend, that's hurrah of the summer, so I think you get more people that way. If you wait too much longer past that, I think you might lose some.
After Labor Day weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
The Monday after Labor Day. Okay, so it's the 5th.
Well, we meet on Tuesday the 5th.
Yes.
So it's a Tuesday after the Monday holiday.
So perhaps...
I don't think we can advertise it unless you think we can advertise it enough before that.
Well, I was going to say, if it could go into the first Selectmen's newsletter periodically between now and then to just say that the Shoreline Gateway Committee is inviting you to this presentation at the Board of Selectmen meeting. I don't think we need it's about a 15-minute presentation. I already presented it to the Soundview Commission, which it went very well. And it's not our actions, it's our proposed actions. It's not what we're actually doing.
Right. So we could put it up at the front of the meeting, so
that would be great.
Yeah. Okay, so a committee, I just put this in here to talk about the use of town property. Obviously, for buildings, we have certain forms that people sign, fill out, if they have to have insurance and hours of operation and so forth. I don't know that there's any established process for the use of town property, say, for the witness stones, if they're placed somewhere and it's on town land, or if somebody wanted to put a monument or something on town property recognizing something. I think the devil's going to be in the details, because you have things like on the green, we have a couple of new signs, one for Lafayette, one for women's suffrage, and there was no process to say, come to the selectmen, or just what do you do? So it might be sensible to...
So are you telling me that you didn't give permission for those to be put up?
I don't think the board did. I know the Lafayette... I think there's...
Did you?
I don't believe I said, okay, when they were talking about the Lafayette sign, I said, well, you know, if the Lafayette stayed at the house on the corner, you know,
Was the one the Old Line Historical Society put up over here?
I don't know, was that historical Lafayette? No. I'm not sure with the source of that.
The historic district was involved.
The historic district.
Commission was involved with both of those.
And they're still talking about the women's suffrage location, but
they were involved in places.
it's a little haphazard as to how things happen, and maybe there should be a bit more.
Process. There should be a process that's followed.
Yeah.
If you're going to put up a monument or some type of plaque on a town property, I can understand that, especially if it's permanent. So there should be a written process that we, as the Board of Selectmen, should probably create for a permanent placeholder on town property. Because I'm sure there was a process for the monuments that are out in front of Town Hall. So there had to be something done. We should go back to our notes and find them in town records of how they did that. But I'm sure there was approval. Right? Wouldn't you think?
I think it would be a good idea to have a process, and there should probably be commentary about, if vendors want to have ice cream or other type of trucks selling stuff, they have to get a vendor's permit, I think. But it might be worth kicking around all the different circumstances and coming up with what we should do, because right now it's pretty vague.
Well, then I always think the best way to start on this is to go to the other towns and see what they've already devised, because if they have a plan, I'd love to hear what theirs are. And see what they have in their agreement.
Well, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Maybe there could be. But
before we start a committee, it's better to gather all the data, and then the committee can actually start. But I'm going to tell you right now that you and I both know that this is coming from the DTC tent on Memorial Day parade. The DTC has been doing this in 2018, 2019. Did not do it in 2020 because of COVID. Came back in 21, 22, and 23. There have been 3 people that have brought this to your attention over the last 2 years. 3. Mm-hmm. 3 people out of 7,000.
Well,
they hand out.
I would say.
Donuts. Listen, let me finish. Donuts, water, flags. And there are veterans under the tent that are handing these things out to children.
Right.
And I asked some of the veterans, are you upset by this? And they said, no, because personally, after fighting in a war, I want the children in this town to know that the reason they get a flag, water, and donuts free is because they live in this country for the wars that I fought in.
No, it's not about the activity.
I'm just going to tell you, Tim, if you start saying that people don't have the freedom of speech to do something nice, and if anything, why doesn't the RTC join us? Why doesn't the RTC attend?
That could be part of the analysis.
Instead of complaining, because that's what they're doing.
I think it should be vetted, and I think
there are other towns that both groups are marching in the parade, and maybe that should be considered. All of these people on the DTC and the RTC are the people and the players that are making this town run. They're all the volunteers. Everybody's doing something to help this town. Every single person. And you and I both know that there are some of them that are doing double, triple, and quadruple duties. They're on 4 committees. They're working.
That's not the point.
The point is that we, as the Board of Selectmen, are supposed to be bringing this town together. We are not supposed to be dividing it.
Not dividing it. I'm saying that you have a method and people understand what they can do and what they shouldn't do.
I think, though, you're reacting to a complaint.
Well, then this could be analyzed and come up with a recommendation saying, yeah, you can have.
I don't think we need a committee. I think we do some research with other towns, collaborate, see if it makes sense here. If it doesn't, then we go from there. I'm done with committees. Like, these committees, I was on one, and it just all of a sudden ended. Like, I volunteered my time for a committee before, and I don't think I think we're 3 educated people here that can come up and look at some other plans and just say, hey, Does this make sense to us? And it could be vague too. But it's a policy, so if someone puts a sign somewhere, or they, hey, you gotta get it signed off by the first selectman and/or his designee, or it has to be presented at the board. Hey, I want to put this here. So I agree that a policy, or look into it. I don't think a committee is the solution. We don't have enough people to volunteer for the committees we have now, never mind adding another one.
I agree. I dragged you on a few committees.
Yeah, suck me in.
Yeah, well.
I'm not disagreeing that there shouldn't be some type of review. But I just, so Martha, you want to grab a couple towns, I'll grab a couple towns, and we'll come back and...
I volunteer to go for that.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Once I get the secret.
All right.
Thank you.
New business. The fireworks have been rescheduled to this coming Saturday. People should be there at 9 o'clock. And is the town band going to be functioning at 7:30? Yes. So the town band will be playing at 7:30.
Can I just make a recommendation? Next year when we do this, I think in the permit application, we should include a rain date automatically, so we don't have to redo everything.
Do we have to, when we reapply for a permit, do we have to pay for the second full permit?
Yes. You have to spell out in the permit what you want. The permit has the one night.
Most fireworks events already have, rain date scheduled, or they advertise it that way.
We have a rain date in this permit to be the 13th.
Okay. I'm just saying for next year's event.
We did have, it sometimes, the company has evolved through different names. So I'm not sure if during one of the years you were charged to have the privilege of a rain date. I don't recall.
Well, at least it's done ahead of time, and we have it,
I thought the permit, I thought Dave Roberge told me, maybe it was someone else here, that on the application, if you want a rain date, you have to, I think, pay an additional $250 for the permit, or there's an additional charge to your rain date in on the first permit. But then you're covered, because now everybody's signed in, knows it's going to happen on whatever date.
We have to scramble.
So I hope that we, from now on, we'll always do that, because it's worth the date.
Yeah. And that's the way it is in this one.
Okay, good.
So we'll have all the same stuff, but you have to submit a new permit anytime you have to go to a date that's not in the permit.
Right.
Next, staff changes. We are going to be welcoming Anita Mancini as our new finance director. Anita comes to us from North Branford, where she was the second chair to the finance director, and she will, I think she will appear at the next Board of Finance meeting. We also have a land use technician, Craig Bonatti. Craig was working with the Department of Correction, and he's going to be understudying Kim Barrows. She will be retiring on the 1st of September, so there'll be a little turnover time for that to happen. And we also have a human resource consultant, Sheila McKinley-Bell, and she is a self-employed consultant, and she's been helping us, I guess this is her third week. She gives us 8 to 10 hours per week to handle various personnel matters, and we are keeping her plate reasonably full.
And we should inform the public that she is on a 6-month contract with us at this time, because we felt that since it was an election year, new people would be coming in. This will give them, I believe it's February, right? That she's
into January, like mid-Jan.
That will give them time to decide if they want to renew that or to find other ways to handle their HR issues. And
we've had a number of issues over the last couple of years, so I think that were things to normalize, then we probably wouldn't need to have a full-time person, or maybe even a more limited part-time person. So it'll give that opportunity to be aired as well.
And Matt, by the way, thank you so much for spending so much time with me interviewing all those very...
Got it done.
Yeah.
Other business. I will make mention of one interesting thing. In Old Saybrook, I had the pleasure of attending an open house for their new commodities exchange. And off of that Route 154, where their transfer station is, they have devoted a corner of the transfer station to have basically a big lean-to, so that people who bring things to the transfer station that are usable, rather than just dump it in a bin and it goes to be burned up somewhere, they can be put on tables or on a rack, and other people can look that stuff over and take it.
Groton has the same thing.
Yeah.
I thought Deep River had the same thing, but the state said it was legal to shut them down. I'll find out. I know they had it, and once they stopped it, there's some. I'll further research it if we're considering.
Yeah, check it out.
Because it was a big hoopla, and a lot of people were upset about it, and I don't know the reason why, but if it was a town thing or a state thing.
I think
It's a pollster thing.
I think
I don't think it has to be transferred between places.
in some communities, I think people kind of hang around there waiting for the next good thing to show up, and then they'll sell it on eBay.
Hey,
But
it's the same thing could happen if you gave it off to Goodwill. It can be on eBay the next day.
So anyway,
Or curbside, right.
the Saybrook would certainly share their information with us. They did receive a small grant from the, let's see, I think it was DEEP, and they were there as part of the presentation. So we could think about with something working on Lime, you'd probably have to go up past with the containers somewhere, because you have the brush pile, and there's not a lot of room right near the entry area, but it's worth looking at, and it's very handsome, the facility over in Saybrook, so worth looking at.
So I meant to update both of you at our June meeting, but of course I was in California and got cut off by the Miramar Air Force Base, who took down our signal. So I got cut off from my phone call. But on May 28th, I went kayaking in the Black Hall Pond and down the Black Hall River, or whatever it's called, or Bucky Brook, I guess is what we call it, with two of the owners on land of Black Hall Pond. Since that time, Vicki Herbowitz has also done a little bit of a study for me on one piece of property to see if we could go back, because people said, well, let's see. According to our town engineer, they said that it was either owned by the town, or it could have been owned by, the brook could have been given to the town from the developer, which would have handed it over. Could be owned by the state, or it could be owned by an association, which the developer at the time would have left in the hands of an association, and as the properties were transferred to other people, the association sort of dissolved. So she did one piece of property for me here and found that it did not go to any of those, so thought maybe in fact it is owned by the state. And there, of course, has been interest from DEEP to put alewife into Black Hall Pond, so perhaps that is one of their reasons for their interest. But I also need to go up, because Black Hall Pond was also part of the original part of Lime, before the lines were drawn at a different time. So I need to go up to Lime, and I'm going to do that next week to the public hall and get some records and try to find out if they have anything on Black Hall Pond and how it came to be. But I will tell you that the water is rising. There are some engineers who would be led to believe that perhaps there are new springs popping up possibly from the lake, because it will go under the road and pop up, and that could be part of the cause. But I'll tell you that on my trip down the river, which I do have all the pictures, there are beaver dams, and they are definitely stopping the flow of water. And I cannot believe that if it's owned by a preserve or anyone who's interested in land use, that that is the condition of that brook. Because it is treacherous, it is a safety issue for anyone who wants to kayak down it. And if one of you'd like to go, I know they'd like to take you, because you need to see it, and it's impacting their lives. And it's also impacting their sewers and their septic and their water supply. So we need to be conscious of this, because eventually, if their septic starts to go because of this flooding, then the septics are going to empty into the brook, and we're going to have a bigger issue. So we can either find a way to help them, or we can just ignore it, and then who knows what will happen. But I prefer to be proactive than reactive. So I'll go do more research, and I will get back to you. But then after that, we need
Is it really overgrown, like you can't get a drone in there, or? Because some of my friends...
I had to go, to get the kayak, you have to go under, and you have to take and pull on the trees to go down. Now, that is not like...
I wish you got a picture of that. Sorry.
I was going down, and Nicole Cable and Blair Tinkle came with me, and he said to me, "You are amazing." I said, "Well, I'm not spending the night in this brook."
Yeah, right.
I'm getting out. But after about a mile and a half down, we hit this huge beaver dam. And, they've done their homework too. They've worked with the Land Trust. They've worked with the Open Space Commission. They've had joint meetings.
This is the people on Bowden?
No, the beaver hasn't, but somebody said that we should have taken the beaver to Miami Beach. And then we should have taken care of the logs. But I'm just going to tell you, these are taxpayers. They pay money to this town. And you can't ignore them. You have to start to give them some resources to help them out. And if it takes one of us to do it, it seems to me like there should be some kind of a process in this town, again, when we have an issue, that there should be researchers who go off and start to research this for us, so that we're not the ones doing it. And they come back with the information and say...
The piece of property you're talking about, is it called Bucky Brook? Is that the actual...
Tim calls it Bucky Brook.
It's both Bucky Brook and Black Hall River.
But really not. Take one of your kids, and Nicole Cable will let you use your kayak.
I won't come back.
Yeah, they won't get to kayak. Yeah. Well, there's also
a younger one.
There's also a problem up at Roland Road. There's a beaver dam a good ways up Roland Road that is an issue. It's at a resident's house, and they have signage saying "keep away from the dam" type of thing. So that's a different issue, but
because they like the beaver.
Yeah, but
is it impacting other people's property?
It impacts Roland Road in some instances. So they're all around. There's no doubt about it.
There are, but
Well, when you say that Black Hall Pond was at one time part of Lyme, is that right?
That's what I was told from Vicki, that the records would, and also from the Historical Society. I was told that you'd have to go.
That's strange, because you'd think, the lake is part of it, but I didn't realize the boundary would have moved like that.
I'm going to find out.
You'd think in 1855 it would have been...
Boston Post Road was the cutoff. But was it at one time on the others?
Well, it was all one before,
I don't know,
the town of Lyme was Lyme, Old Lyme, East Lyme, and part of Salem. That was Lyme.
Okay.
And in 1855, Old Lyme separated from Lyme.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the date
So I've got to go back to before 1855.
Well, it was way back, everything was lime, so.
But they have the records. We don't have them here. That's why I have to go up the line.
But maybe the line was made in 1855 and hasn't changed. I mean, it probably just, it was all, lime came all the way down to Long Island Sound, and so that was the time that it changed.
Okay.
The incorporation date.
So I have to find out who owned Blackhall Pond prior to 1855.
It would be, whether there would be individuals owning it or the town owning it or anything else.
But we can't ignore it anymore. We have to at least start to, at least our research efforts have to be, and then come up with some type of a plan that will make the people who like the beavers happy and protect them, but also protect our people. Like I said, I was out in Wyoming. They have a nice way of moving the beavers to places where they are very happy, and the rivers continue to circle down through the national park. So why we can't do something here is the same, and not only that, but that whole fucking brook should be cleaned up. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. You need to go there to see it, because it's not a preserve. I've never seen a preserve like that.
Well, the preserve is actually down near Whipplewell. It doesn't go all the way up.
Well, you can't tell where you are once you're into that.
Yeah.
You just keep going, and then you hope you can turn around, because it's only the width. You can only kayak map the width of the kayak. I mean, it's not a gurgling stream or anything.
It's like a mangrove.
Yes, and you are pushing off on muck from the bottom to keep going, because you get stuck in all the reeds and the phragmite and everything else.
I'll show you the map that we put together, trying to research who owned what parcels going down there.
I do a lot of some GIS, but I'm just telling you, I think it should be taken care of. Somehow, somewhere. I'll spend a day in line.
Anything else?
Over here? Nope. Nothing. I'm just trying to look back up. What meeting they came to that, they discussed that. Was that March, April?
I believe March and April. Laura came twice. Because you said he hadn't had a response.
Okay, if there's no other...
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, 7:22. Very good, thank you.